Okay, so I've already finished a book. So, the book I finished earlier today was I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. I just shook absolutely everything on this desk. I was reading this last week. I finished at the last 50 pages today and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this, and this was my first Sci-Fi Masterworks book, so I am now so excited to pick up another book from this collection. There are a few more Richard Matheson books in the Sci-Fi Masterwork collection, so I may go with one of those, I may not. I think I'm going to return this to my library soon because this one is a library book, and see what else they have and see what happens, because I'm very excited to read classic sci-fi now. So this follows Robert Neville, who is the last man alive, and there is a vampiric plague that has killed or infected every single other person. This was a futuristic novel when it was written. It was written in 1954, and I believe it starts in 1976 and goes to 1979. So we follow a 3-year period in this tiny book, but this is it's about a lot of things. So the general plot is that we have Robert just generally surviving. He has this routine to safeguard his house against the vampires. The vampires in this aren't typical vampires. There are elements of mythology in there, things like garlic and crosses and stakes, but they also don't really behave a lot like normal vampires. Now, one thing that I found particularly interesting about this is that Robert is searching for the scientific explanation behind this plague, as opposed to just accepting the theological or mythological reasons for why vampires have just taken over the earth. So I really like sci-fi because I'm a logically minded person, so having Robert delve into the scientific cause for this plague was really interesting to me. So if you know any books like this that are scientific, well, it's science fiction, so they're all pretty scientific, but things maybe like this that follows plagues, and I really like things that seem supernatural but have a scientific background. So for example, I like zombie stories where we find out what happened. I really like The Walking Dead. That's more survivalist. You never find out, or at least where I watched up to, which was season 8 or 9, you never find out how the apocalypse was actually started. So I do like those stories as well, but I feel like they're more horror. But I definitely also really like sci-fi where you find out the cause and you also follow the apocalypse happening. So if you know of any books like that, then please let me know, and if you can recommend anything in the Sci-Fi Masterworks collection, then please let me know. But the other aspect of this book is humanity, I guess, and I feel like this book approaches Robert's situation in a very realistic way. It is very difficult to read in parts because he is alone. He hasn't seen another living human in a very long time, and he has like a dependency on alcohol, and he's going out of his mind, you know, because he hasn't socialized in forever. And there isn't even any animals in this book. It is talked about how the dogs are also infected by this plague. There is a dog in this. If you have watched the movie I Am Legend, you will know about the dog. It is very different in this. I struggled to watch a certain scene in I Am Legend just because the kind of person I am, that's the kind of thing that bothers me. So if you are worried about reading this based on that, it's a very different situation. It's not as emotional. It wasn't emotional to me reading it because of the situation that it happened in, but it was difficult to read when we have this man who's just so lonely and so broken, and we see him in moments of hope where he's hopeful that he's found something or someone, and he becomes obsessed with finding out the reason behind the vampiric plague with the intent of finding a cure, and just that single focus on something, just something to hold on to get him through the fact that he's the last human alive in this awful world. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't give it 5 stars because I mentioned a couple of weeks ago I am going to be a little bit more selective with my rating process, because at the moment I don't feel like my rating system is accurate. I really enjoyed this book. I think that it will stick with me for a long time. I think that this is one that I'm going to be thinking about for a long time, but emotionally I wasn't invested. It was all mentally I was invested in this. The ending of this, I believe, is a little bit polarizing. It ends, I would say, better than the ending of the movie, which I really don't like the ending of the movie, but it opens up the world and there was room for more there. But I understand this book is kind of like a speculative, like, what if, and similar to how The Walking Dead focuses just on the survival aspect and it's quite a isolated point of view. That is the same in this. It isn't necessarily about what happened, how the world ended, how the vampiric plague started. It is about this one man being the only man in this dire situation. So 4 stars, really enjoyed this. Will read more from Richard Matheson. If you've read Richard Matheson and you have an idea of where I should go next after this, then also please let me know, because I think I Am Legend is his most popular book, so I'm not really sure where to go from here. And this one was actually on my Bookopoly TBR. It is my first Bookopoly read. Considering how late we are in the month and how late I'm progressing with Bookopoly, I'm still feeling pretty optimistic about it, to be honest. This was my first book, and this was to read a classic. So then I did pick up another book, and this one is also on my Bookopoly TBR, and that is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shauna Maguire. As you can tell, I'm knocking out the tiny books. The reason that I picked this up is that I am buddy reading The Toll with Gav this week, but I messaged him today when I'd finished this, and he wasn't ready to start The Toll yet, so I decided to squeeze in a short read before we start. I believe we're starting tomorrow. But this is on my Bookopoly TBR to read an adult fantasy, and it is also my magical readathon book for last week. I haven't unlocked chapter 3 yet because I haven't read this, but my prompt was to read an urban fantasy. This is definitely more of a portal fantasy, but it is a book with magical aspects that is set in the real world, kind of like Harry Potter, which was the example that G gave in the chapter. And fun fact, I didn't tell you guys, actually I forgot to mention it in a vlog. I realized about halfway through last week that when I did the chapter the previous Sunday, I didn't follow the chapter all the way through, so I did have a second reading prompt. I did follow through on that, and the prompt I got was to buddy read a book or read a group book, etc. And I was reading A Dance with Dragons last week, which was for the catch-up book club. I did a live show on Sunday, so that prompt is fulfilled. So I just need to read this one, and then chapter 2 will be complete. With the way I'm progressing with this, I'll probably come back and open chapter 3 up tomorrow with you guys. But this is the 3rd book in the Wayward Children series, which is a series of novellas that follows children who have been to portal worlds and returned. However, they do not want to be in the real world, and they very much want to go back to the portal world. Now, we are specifically following Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, and there are many homes across the world, but Eleanor West specialises in the children who want to go back. All of the novellas are different. You don't have to read all of them in order. Some of them you can read on their own, some of them do follow on, but it does pretty much focus on Eleanor West's home and the children that have been there or are currently there. So this is the 3rd book, but this is a sequel to the 1st book. The 2nd book is a prequel set in one of the portal worlds. The 1st book is kind of like almost a murder mystery that sets up the series, and the 3rd book takes place in various portal worlds actually, but we start off in Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, where we are introduced to a new character who has just joined the home, and she is just living her life with one of her friends when a girl drops out of the sky and demands to be taken to their leader. The reason that she demands to be taken to their leader is because she needs to find her mother, who was a resident of Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children, because the future is unraveling because of somebody's actions in the past, I guess would be the best way to explain it. So these books are very diverse. There is Fat Rep in here. The main character that we're kind of following is fat, and then we also have a trans character in here as well, and then there is racial diversity and things like that, but the fat character and the trans character are kind of the main diverse characters in this particular book so far, where I'm up to. So I am on page 69, no, I'm on page 70 of this, sorry, of 164-ish. So I do aim to finish this tomorrow. I should be able to do it. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. I am enjoying this so far. My favorite book in this series has been the 2nd one. The 1st one I don't like very much. I gave it 3 stars because I like the writing and I like the setup for the book, but I don't like the murder mystery aspect at all. And then the 2nd book I gave 4 or 5 stars because that took place exclusively in a portal world, and I really liked how it was done and the atmosphere. This one I don't think is going to be better than the 2nd one. As I just said, these books are very diverse, but they are diverse in a, I don't want to say like a not obvious way, but it is kind of seamless, like characters just happen to be diverse, because one of the main points of Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children is that you will not be judged for anything. You won't be called a freak because you think you went to a portal world, like they did go. There's bigger things going on. Nobody will judge you for being trans or fat or gay or ace and things like that. The thing that I'm having with this is that the Fat Rep seems to be kind of heavy-handed. I think that the portrayal of how the main character feels is accurate, because there's a lot of discussion about how she always assumes assumes that people are going to call her fat, and she tries to take up as little space as possible, because when she went to school in the real world before she went to her portal world, she was bullied for these things. And I think that that is very accurate, but there are just parts in the book where it's cropping up, and I feel like it's a little bit heavy-handed in that depiction. With me and representation in books, I want to see it. I want diverse books. We have lived with whitewashed books for far too long with the same kind of characters, but I do like it to be seamless. I'm not necessarily interested in stories that are like coming out stories. I do read them because it is very important that they do get support, so that more of them will be published and the people who do need those stories will be able to have access to them. But it is not something that I have ever had to experience, so it's not something that I identify with, so I can't really relate in that way. So when I do read diverse books, I do like them to be as seamless as possible. What I want to see regarding diversity in books is it just being a natural part of the world, because the world is diverse. There are people of all races, genders, sexualities, body shapes just living in the world, and what I want to see is that just being represented as completely normal, like, oh, this character's ace, that's perfectly normal. Obviously I do understand that that is because I'm not the person who needs to see this diverse representation, and I don't want it to seem like I don't like this book because it's diverse, because that's not it. It's just in the previous 2 installments the diversity has seemed a little bit more seamless, and in this one it seems a little bit clunkier, if that makes sense. So those are the books that that is the book that I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading one book and I'm going to finish it soon. It's a miracle. This week will be an exciting week. This is my last week at work before Christmas. I will be going to at least look at my Mac on Friday, possibly get it if they have it in stock. If not, I will order it into store. So once again, thank you to everybody who's donated to my crowdfund. Thank you so much. I'm eternally grateful, and I will be writing a update that will be sent out via email to the people who have donated later in the week. But I am very excited about that, and I will obviously keep you posted and fill you in along the way. Aside from that, this week is pretty much going to be filled with content creation and Christmas gifts, because I still have some gifts to buy. Ryan may be coming this weekend. He said he may be, but he hasn't confirmed yet. So I need to pre-film a couple of videos. I don't have any content planned for this week or ready for this week. I know what I'm filming, and I need to wrap gifts because I have a couple that I need to send away, but they are only UK parcels, so that's fine. And I still need to add to Curtis's gifts, I need to add to Ryan's gift, and I also need to pick up something for my dad. So full steam ahead, Christmas and content. The content is the Christmas of content, not the content of Christmas. But that being said, it is midnight now and I still have the thumbnail to make for last week's vlog, so I'm gonna go and get on with that. I just finished Beneath the Sugar Sky by Sean Maguire. I think I'm giving this 3 stars. I did really like it, and there were some aspects about this particular installment in the series that I enjoyed more than any of the previous installments, but overall I don't think that this is necessarily going to be a story that sticks with me. I think the same applies to all of them, because I reread the first one this year and then read the second and now this one, and when I was reading this I couldn't really remember much at all about the second one. I remembered the first one because it was a reread to start off with, so I've read that one twice. But the second one, literally no recollection of it. And I did listen to a little bit of this in audiobooks. I was really busy at work today, and the audiobook is on Scribd. And I do like the voice of the narrator for the audiobook, but I don't think that Sean Maguire's writing style translates well to audio for me, and that is very possibly me just being picky, because I do know other people like Rachel really like the audiobooks for this series, but I'm just not a fan. But I'm picky with audiobooks anyway. So the thing that I enjoyed the most about this was the setting. I did say to you yesterday that it does take place in multiple worlds, but most of the book does take place in a candy land where literally everything is made out of different types of candy and cake and food, and I really love those aspects about it. This particular world that they visited was surprisingly not too nonsensical. It was a nonsense world that was grounded in reason. I think if it was fully nonsensical, I wouldn't have been down with that. I don't think my brain would have liked it. But the bits of reason, it was kind of, everything was in riddles, and if you really thought about it, you could kind of make sense of it. But I don't love whimsical stories that much. In theory, I do. And there are some stories that are very whimsical that I do love, like Howl's Moving Castle. But generally, with me being so logic-minded, whimsical stories are not my favorite. I just don't find them cohesive enough for my liking. But this I really really enjoyed the world and the nonsense world. The characters, I don't particularly like the characters in any of Sean Maguire's books. I think that's one of my issues with this series, but this is definitely, it's just a me thing. From my own personal perspective, I don't really understand the hype with these books, but that is very much because they're just not really my type of story and my preferred type of story, so they don't hit as hard with me as they do for other people. But overall, this was a nice, easy read. I have ASMR rooms on at the minute. I'm watching or listening to the Christmas one. So the first one was the newest one, which is Christmas at Grimmauld Place. And I'm now listening to the Christmas in the Great Hall. So it was a nice, cute little cozy reading experience while I was finishing this. And I do think that these are nice atmospheric reads if you just want to pick up a little something and have a nice magical story. So this one was on my Bookopoly TBR to read an adult fantasy, and it was also my magical readathon book, or one of my magical readathon books for last week, chapter 2, to read an urban fantasy, even though, as I said yesterday, this is definitely more of a portal fantasy. So now that that's done, I do have an idea of what I'm moving on to, but as I've just finished chapter 2 of the magical readathon, I'm going to open chapter 3. Okay, chapter 3. So I've just woken up at Hogwarts and it's my first day of classes. Okay, I have to decide what I want for breakfast. So my options are warm cinnamon honey porridge, which is something I do like, cornflakes and warm toast with jam, pumpkin and carrot cake, or buttered toast, eggs, sausages and bacon. See, that is my kind of breakfast, but at this particular moment, the cinnamon and honey porridge is actually feeling a little bit more appealing. My first class is herbology. Okay, so we're dealing with mandrakes. Okay, we have a sheet on the announcement board in the common room. Okay, so I have to pick one of my 3 extracurricular activities, I guess. I can either go to the dueling club meeting, go to Quidditch practice, or go to Nearly Headless Nick's 500th Death Day party. And the Death Day party is in a different colour, which is definitely intriguing, but I reread Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets this year, and I remember that I was not a fan of that chapter with the with the birthday party. It's not in the movie at all, and it was a little bit bizarre. So Quidditch or dueling club, both are appealing. I want to go to both. What would I do? Would I go to dueling club? Would I go to Quidditch? Or would I go to the party? This is so hard. I'm gonna go to the dueling club. The Great Hall has been remade for this particular occasion. Now a single long platform is laid out in the very middle and loads of students are gathered around it. Beautifully decorative tapestries cover the platform. Plenty of lilac decorations are hung from the ceiling with designs of elegant wands pointing at one another. You can definitely tell that Professor Lockhart has been involved. Read a book with a pink or purple cover. Great. Okay. I do have an option to continue. Okay, we're dueling. I have to choose which spell I'm going to use. So my options are Expelliarmus, Rictus Sempra, or Protego. Okay, so I cast Protego. Finish my dueling lessons. I have an hour to kill and I'm headed to the library to work on my essay. Make your way to the Great Hall. In chapter 2, did you get detention? I did not get detention. As you walk, you start hearing some voices. Rip, tear, kill. Excuse me, that was very unsettling, but you brush it off. Hogwarts is an odd place. You shouldn't overreact over something a bit less usual. Who knows, it might be Myrtle trying to spook someone nearby. Something is shining on the wall ahead. You approach it slowly, squinting through the darkness. Look up. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the air, beware. End of chapter 3. Okay, so my challenge for the week is to read a book with a pink or purple cover, which is annoying because this has pink and purple on it. So I guess I will go to my TBR cart and we will pick my magical readathon prompt for this week. Okay, so this is the TBR cart as we know. I'm going to start by popping that behind there now that I've read it, because that's where my wrap-up books are going. So these are the books that are still on my Bookopoly TBR. I am going to be reading this next. This is my actual next read. No, oh. Is this purple? This is purple. Oh my god. So that was completely unexpected, but my next read anyway is going to be The Toll by Neil Shusterman, because I am buddy reading this with Gav. Gav has already started. I'm now playing catch up, even though last night I was saying I was waiting for him to start. And this has purple on it. I am saying that that is purple. I keep thinking it's tricking me and it's navy, but it is definitely purple, and I did not expect that. When I pulled this out of the car, I was only removing it because I was reading it next anyway. So this will, of course, fill the prompt for the magical readathon to read a book with a pink or purple cover. I'm going with purple on the cover as opposed to a fully purple cover, as you can probably tell. This one is also on my Bookopoly TBR to read a book set in a dystopian world, I believe, even though this is more of a utopian. The prompt on the board does cover them both. I'm buddy reading this with Gavin, and this is the final book in the Arc of a Scythe series, which has been one of my favourite series that I've read this year. This is my second most anticipated release of 2019. I keep saying in videos that it's 9th house, but it wasn't. 9th house was my third most anticipated. This is my second most anticipated, and it follows two apprentice scythes, Citra and Rowan, in a world where humanity has conquered death, and the only problem that humanity does have to face is overpopulation, which is why they have the Scythedom, which is a group of trained killers who are there to decide who lives and who dies, to keep the population down. Now, there is a lot of corruption in the Scythedom, even though there shouldn't be, and the reason for this is that the artificial intelligence that governs the rest of the world and keeps everything fair does not interfere with the Scythedom because it doesn't believe that it should have the power to decide who lives and dies. So I've heard very mixed things about this. I am hoping I enjoy it. I think I will fly through this if it is anything like the first two books in the series. So there we have it. I thought this update would be longer because I thought I would have to pick a second book to read this week, but apparently not, and I'm very grateful for that. So I don't know if you guys remember last week when I said I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm pouring the last candles of 2019. Well, it turns out I did in fact jinx myself, and I have more candles to make, but hopefully these candles will be the last candles of 2019. Hey guys, so it's 3 p.m. and I have just wrapped up my final shift before the Christmas holidays, and I am so excited to chill out. There's still going to be a lot going on. I have a load of content creation to do. I want to do a lot of reading. Got to do the Christmas cleaning, get my house ready for Christmas. Got to do the Christmas food shop, you know, all that stuff. But I don't have to work, which is great. I will still be working at home a little bit, but I'm going to take it a lot easier than I have been the last few weeks, because honestly, your girl is exhausted. But I thought I would check in with you here. I don't normally check in my office at work, but today is Mac Day. So assuming that this isn't your first time watching one of my vlogs, you will know that I have been running a crowdfund to help me upgrade my computer because I have a laptop, it's dying, it's not great, and it takes hours and hours and hours to process videos, like 12 hours to process a video. So you guys have donated £765 to my Mac fund, and I am eternally grateful. Honestly guys, thank you so much. This means the world to me. I'm very excited for this. I have stuff to do tonight, but I know I'm just going to want to play on my Mac, but I won't be leaving the house and going anywhere where I could buy a Mac for the next few days, and I'm way too impatient to order one online. So Curtis has just gone to pull the car around. We are going to buy me a Mac. I have checked online. I'm pretty sure that the one that I'm going for is available in store. It's not too far away. It's kind of on my way home from work, the store that we're going to. Full disclosure, you guys have contributed £765 to the Mac fund. That money will be going down today on a deposit, and I will be taking out the rest on finance because they have a finance deal running at the moment where you don't have to pay any interest for 6 months. So all the money that you guys have contributed is going on it today, and throughout the next 6 months I will be making bi-monthly payments to make up the rest. Now on the crowdfund page it does say that I'm going for a Mac that is, I think, £2,049. However, I'm not getting that one anymore, and the reason for that is because that computer has a 27-inch screen size, and I honestly just do not have the space for that. My desk is not deep enough, and I would have this huge screen right in front of my face. So I am going for the smaller one. I will link it down below if you guys want to know which one I'm getting. It is around £1,380, I believe, or something around there. It's definitely between £1,300 and £1,400, and that is the best one that I can buy that is a smaller screen size. So that is the Mac that we're going to be getting. I'll show you when I get it home. I may vlog just a little bit in store, but I'm very excited. I am very grateful. Thank you so much. My crowdfund will be running just until the end of the year in case anybody wants to make a last minute donation. No obligations at all, but as I said, I have not paid the full amount for the Mac, so any additional donations will go towards the further payments I have to make. But yeah, I'll be closing it down at the end of the year. I'm only leaving it open a little bit because I haven't given much notice that I'm going to be buying the Mac today. I only mentioned it once in a couple of vlogs. So yeah, I'm going to go buy a Mac. Thank you so much. And we will spend tonight working shit out. This vlog probably going to be the first video that I've edited on it that goes up, providing I can get all the software and stuff in and everything works out fine. But yeah, I'm excited. Hey, so I'm gonna make it brief because I'm pretty much in public. I'm sat in the car while Curtis is getting his haircut on a main road. But false alarm, no Mac today. They didn't have it in stock despite the fact that the website told me that they did. So they are ordering one in for me. He's told me that he's gonna try and get it in for me on Monday, but they're definitely having a delivery on Christmas Eve. So he's gonna push for it to be on there. But if not, it's gonna be the 27th. So sad times, very, very sad. That street light just came on and it's hella bright. But yeah, no Mac this week, but I did pay for it. I put the £765 down and sorted out the finance and stuff, so it is paid for and it will be coming soon, hopefully. But for now, Curtis is going to be in there for hours, so I'm gonna read and try not to get too hungry.
Today isn't your day, is it?
I didn't check in with you at all yesterday because Ryan was here. I didn't really get any footage apart from the fact that we exchanged gifts. I do actually have some books. He bought me 3 books, but I am going to be filming my Christmas book haul. Like, I'm doing the Amazon wishlist book haul, which I'll just show you while I'm by the tree. This here and the stack at the back are the wishlist items that I've received so far. So if you have sent me a wishlist item, thank you very much. This is where I have been storing them. So I'm going to be opening those later on today. I'm going to wait. I don't think anything's coming today. I do have one thing that I've ordered off Amazon that's a gift for somebody else that's coming today, but I don't think there'll be any wishlist items coming today, but I will wait a little while. And soon I will be filming my video where I open all of those, which will hopefully go up on Christmas Eve. And then on Boxing Day every year I tend to film my Christmas December book haul. I was opening wishlist parcels before I started storing them, so I do have quite a few gifts from you guys that I do need to haul in that video. And I've also bought a couple of books myself. I've received subscription boxes, and things like Ashley did an unhaul not long ago and asked if I wanted any of the books she was unhauling, and I said yes. So I've acquired those as well. So all of those are just going to go in my book haul, which will be going up the week that you see this. So I won't show you what Ryan got me, although he got me one thing that I'm super excited about. But you will see that on Thursday. I believe that's Boxing Day. When it's Christmas, I get really confused about all of the days because Wednesday isn't Wednesday, it's Christmas Day. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be filming that later today. I'm also going to be filming my vlog because I'm at home now. The internet is going to be sorted. We will get good internet in January, I believe. But at the minute we don't, and I didn't manage to get my Mac. So I have a lot of export time to deal with and a lot of upload time to deal with. So I am going to be editing this vlog this morning. I will give you all of the information on the toll, which I'm 250 pages into. I've literally not updated you since I started that book on like my reading, but I will give you all of the information on that when I come back in a little while to wrap up this vlog just before I export. But right now I'm going to be wrapping the remainder of the Christmas presents I have to wrap. I've done my Christmas shopping apart from one thing for my dad. I've bought my dad the usual stuff he gets. He always gets a Toblerone and a pair of slippers, but I don't know what else to get him as like his main present. So we're doing the Christmas food shop tomorrow and I'm gonna pick up something then. And I'm watching on the big screen 5 Feet Apart, which I haven't read the book to that and I did really want to, but I wanted to put something on. And there's not that many Christmas movies on Netflix at the minute. I haven't watched any Christmas movies actually. I've been watching Pretty Little Liars while I've been doing stuff. I finished season 2 the other day, so I'm going to watch this movie while I wrap the remainder of these presents, then probably finish up the movie and edit the vlog. And yeah, pretty chill day today. Hopefully I can find some time to play a little bit of Xbox, although I think my game will need a big update, which isn't fun. So I just finished watching 5 Feet Apart. I have one solitary tear here. And I'm sad about it. That film was actually really fucking good, but the ending was not satisfying. Okay, so I'm in the spare bedroom, which is not a location that we have visited before in my vlogs, but daylight is always helpful. So let's talk about The Toll by Neil Shusterman. I'm on page 248 of this and Gavin has just steamed ahead. Last night he said he was on page 390. So I'm way behind. I haven't actually read this in a couple of days. I didn't read very much at all on Friday and I read absolutely nothing yesterday. And I've yet to pick this up today. So I told you guys a little bit what this was about the other day, so you know that. It is the 3rd book in a series, so I can't give you too much information. I mentioned that I've heard very mixed reviews about this and I kind of understand why. There are aspects of the mixed reviews that I don't necessarily agree with, or at least they're not hampering my enjoyment of this book. The thing about the beginning of this, as I said, I'm on page 248. This is the Waterstones edition. So in the back here, we have the commentary by Neil Shusterman, where he talks through what's happening in every chapter, or at least his thoughts and his direction when writing the book. So we start off in this with one new character. There is another character who's kind of new because we don't know very much about her, but she was present in Thunderhead very briefly. But there is one new character, and the first thing I'd like to mention about that character is that they are non-binary. There is an area of this world where everybody's non-binary. You don't have to pick a gender until you're an adult, and most people don't pick a gender anyway. The way that this person identifies their gender is very spiritual. I believe under the sun and the stars, they're male or female. Under the sun and the stars, I think they're female, and when it's cloudy, they're male, and that's how they identify and represent their gender. Liking the non-binary rep in here, and I find it really interesting. I did read the commentary on the section for that character, and Neil Shusterman was highlighting how you don't need to use pronouns at all. There is no mention of pronouns when referring to this character. There is no he or she, there isn't even they. The pronouns just don't exist at all, which I thought was very interesting and a very clever way of doing it. Now, the bit that's confusing me about this is that it's not linear. Now, I am in the middle of part 2, and from reading the commentary, I believe that in part 3 the timelines come together. We start off pretty much straight after the aftermath of the big event that happens in Thunderhead, but I think that the real story of this book will only pick up 3 years after that event. But obviously, like I said, it does start directly afterwards, so the timeline is all over the place, because I believe what Neil Shusterman has done is he has reintroduced the main characters early in the book so that the reader isn't wondering where these 2 main characters that we followed for the first 2 books have gone. But because it is a time gap until they reappear, it's not in order. So we have things that are happening right after the event, we have the thing that's happening 3 years after the event, and we have like the entire timeline in between. We're following different groups and sects of people. As well as not being linear, the timelines are also a different pace. So for the new character, for example, their timeline is so much more accelerated than other people's timeline. So we start off with them not too long after the main event, but the thing that they're doing, it takes so long that months and months are passing in their chapters, where we will go to another character and it will have been like a week since we last saw them. So that makes it quite confusing, because as well as that, the years in this book aren't numbered. So I think one of the years that we're following is the year of the raptor. There's also the year of the ibex, so they name their years, so it's not too easy to figure out what timeline is what, because not all of them are dated anyway, and then the dates are not easy to comprehend because they're named and not numbered. if that makes sense. That being said, I am enjoying what's going on. The timeline is a little bit hazy because of all those reasons, but I am enjoying what is going on. I feel like this is a lot of setup. This first 250 pages is set up for the thing to come. I have had messages, because people know that I'm really excited for this book, I've had messages from people saying that this book destroyed them, but not in a good way. So yeah, I'm interested to think how I feel about this, especially going on now that I feel like the timeline's ready to converge, because I did put it down on Friday halfway through a chapter, but I am only a chapter and a half away from where the timelines converge, and assumedly everything seems to make more sense timeline wise. So that's where I'm up to with this. I hope to finish it next week. I think I should definitely finish it next week, and that was my book for the Magical Readathon chapter 3, so I'm not going to be opening chapter 4 today. I will do it when I finish the toll, similarly to how we've done it this week. So that is about it for this week's vlog. It's 3:30, so I'm going to go edit this clip and import everything so that hopefully this vlog will be up for you in time. But thank you so much for watching if you have made it this far. Please don't forget to like this vlog if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you guys next week for Christmas. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.